liked this movie like I liked it a lot, and that's despite it not being anything like the trailers. Those amazing trailers that blew everyone away, like did millions of views on YouTube, which is unusual for a movie like this. And I think that the difference between the trailers and what Todd Phillips actually delivers is what's responsible for the lackluster reviews for this film, and probably what will be tepid word of mouth. But again, I have lots of great things to say about it, despite it being nothing like the trailers. All those fast cuts and the heart-pounding music, not in the movie. But interestingly, while this is also Warner Brothers, unlike with Suicide Squad, after the War Dogs trailers blew up, they did not recut this movie to match them, and allowed Todd Phillips to deliver what is, I think, in reality, a very solid HBO movie. But a very solid HBO movie. Really, it's a good movie. I really liked it. You're probably like, this is the weirdest recommendation I've ever heard. But allow me to explain. Now, as for Todd Phillips, though, I think that even the poster is cooler than the actual movie. And this, he hasn't done a lot of dramatic work, so there's a learning curve, right? But I hope that he's learned here from the strength of the promotional materials that he really needs to work on his visuals. And that for the next outing, he steps up his game to match what Warner Brothers was able to do for him, again with the promotional materials, to build so much buzz for this movie. Now, the reason I liked this film is I really like movies about business. It's one of the reasons I do a weekly box office report. I find that stuff fascinating. So if you liked Pain and Gain, if you liked The Big Short, which even though it was Oscar nominated, wasn't particularly popular at the box office, or if you even liked Runner Runner, yes, the Ben Affleck Justin Timberlake movie, but I really liked Ben Affleck's character in it, then I think you too will find some enjoyment, and perhaps even a lot of enjoyment, in War Dogs. But I have to say, putting my business hat on, being someone who loves business, if I were a suit at Warner Brothers, I'd be glad this movie wasn't that expensive, because I could tell from the get-go it wasn't going to be a big performer, which is why I'm sure they parked it in the middle of August. Because Miles Teller and Jonah Hill, the characters they play here, they aren't relatable to the majority of moviegoers. Whereas, having grown up in New York City, I went to school with a lot of guys like this. And a lot of guys like this work in the entertainment business. So I'm sure in Hollywood, this was very relatable to everyone involved with the picture, including Todd Phillips, Miles Teller, and Jonah Hill. Also, this movie's perspective on war is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. I think a lot of people will be offended about some of the things that are said here, even if there is some truth to them. There's always multiple sides to every story, especially something as complicated as war. But I do believe this is genuinely how some people see the venture, and to them it is a venture. And I think there is some truth here, particularly because this is based on a true story. So this actually happened. Now, as I said, Todd Phillips' visuals are weak, but I think his script, which he co-wrote, is strong, but nothing is as good as the performances in this movie. They are so good. Miles Teller, as I've said before, not particularly likable in real life, but I've yet to see him do a bad job in a single film. I think he is such an incredibly talented actor, and he proves that here. Even with the burden of having to be not only the leading man, but in a role, because he's the leading man, which is far less flamboyant than the one that Jonah Hill gets to play with. But he still manages to shine. Now, Jonah Hill, it's no accident that he is a 2-time Oscar nominee. He is actually, I think for reals, a talented actor. Really, a very good actor. And I hope he gets even more roles to be able to show that. I'm a little worried for his health. He's just so huge here. It's funny, but I don't think he should physically hurt himself for others' enjoyment, especially because, again, I don't think this movie is going to make a lot of money, but he's so good. But it's even beyond his physical appearance, although I love the wardrobe choices that they make for his character that I'm sure he contributed to. But he comes up with this laugh for his character, which is just just not only comedic gold, but acting gold. You're like, I love watching you work, Jonah Hill. And I also really liked him where he portrayed a character which I think is very true to life, and that's someone who is everyone's friend, but at the same time, no one's friend. Now, they introduce some kind of gray area as to whether or not he's actually Miles Teller's friend. I believe that he was, but I think they leave it somewhat open for interpretation, which I think is also pretty interesting. I also think that Bradley Cooper does a nice job, but his role is very small. And I also thought that Ana de Armas does a very nice job and is able to make a pretty strong impression with a very stereotypical wife role. But I think she did a nice job. I think she filled the needs of the role, but still made the character seem very three-dimensional and like a real person, and very likable too. So that was great. And they had an adorable baby. So the other thing that I wanted to say about this movie is that I think that it actually has good business and life advice in it, right? Of course, you should stop short, though, before you do the things that got them into trouble, right? But I thought, like any good movie about business, I think there's really great lessons to take away, both the good and the bad, the things to do, the things to avoid. And here's some advice. And there's the one time in the movie where it knocked me out because it was just so ridiculous that they wouldn't know this. But because this is like business, not even 101 business. This is like remedial business. But a contract is worthless if it's not notarized. Two people can't just sign a piece of paper and then be like, okay, it's official, because you could lie. Someone could have forged the signature. Every single signed document to be binding, legally binding, must be notarized. So there's some advice for you. If you're ever going to put a contract together, just go. Notary republics are available often, like at local stores. You can Google one and find one very easily. So make the extra effort. Make sure your contracts are legally binding. But if this sounds like a good movie to you, I would definitely watch War Dogs. I really liked it a lot. But I have to be honest and say to you, if you're looking to save a little bit of money, if you don't feel like going to the theater necessarily, or if there's other things that you want to see, you could totally watch this on an airplane, streaming, on your iPad. It does not need the big screen, even though, again, I really enjoyed it. All right, so that's my review of War Dogs. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about the film down below if you've seen it, and you can check out some more episodes right now.